Hey everyone, Tim Schofield here, and it's time to do a full review on the Alcatel Idol 4S. Now, for a little bit longer, you can pre-order the device for $350, and you also get the VR bundle headset with it as well. I also want to go ahead and announce a giveaway of a brand new Idol 4S along with a VR bundle as well. Alcatel is providing me one to give away to you guys, so thanks Alcatel. Also, link in the description below if you want to enter. All you really have to do is subscribe to my YouTube channel. There's a couple extra entries you can do if you want a couple extra entries. And then in a couple weeks, I'll go ahead and announce the winner on Twitter and various social media as well. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into the full review and give my thoughts on the Alcatel Idol 4S. Now to start off, I want to talk about design, and Alcatel went with a much different design than their previous model with a lot more metal and glass involved. On the back of the device, you have your 16 megapixel camera with flash, a fingerprint scanner. It says Alcatel with their newer logo, which I do actually like. On the left side of the device is their power button, along with dual SIM card slots. On the right side of the device is the volume rockers, and then a boom key right there, which I'll talk about in a little bit. Up at the top, 3.5 millimeter headphone jack with a microphone. Down at the bottom, microphone, and your micro USB charging slot. Now it does have quick charge 2.0 capabilities, charges pretty quick. And then I do want to mention that the quality from the headphone, the DAC on it is actually pretty good. So above average there. And the camera does have a little bit of a bump. So kind of wanted to give you a bit of a side shot so you can kind of see it protrude out a little bit. A case would fix that. And also I want to mention how flush the fingerprint scanner is with the device right there. And again, I do want to mention that a case would actually solve that as well, because it's going to give an indent for you to drop your finger into so you know exactly where that fingerprint scanner is at all times. This would be an Incipio case that Alcatel had sent me with the review unit. Now taking a look at the front, at the bottom you'll notice a speaker grill, and then moving on up to the top you have your 8 megapixel front facing camera along with a LED flash. I'll show that off in a sec. And then you have speaker grill up at the top. And I do have to say, let's talk about these speakers. They are one of the best out there right now. And they also pass through to the back, so if you do have it flipped over, phone face down, the sound quality is still very good and very loud. Let's go ahead and test it out. All right, so just gonna do a quick song just so you can kind of hear how loud it actually gets. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this all the way up. All right, so it's extremely loud, and then watch what happens. Overall, it not only gets very loud, the quality is fantastic. So great job, Alcatel. I also want to mention how sleek they look. It doesn't make the device look super tall like other front-facing speakers have in the past, and it's honestly just great. And you don't really lose very much sound coming out the back because they do pass through the back. However, you're going to lose a little bit, but overall it's not noticeable at all while listening to music, watching videos, anything like that. There's even a Waves Max audio app pre-installed that kind of gives you a lot of customization options. You can turn it off if you don't like it, if you want to change the treble, bass, stereo. They have preset options as well for specific types of music. So a lot of customizations for multimedia use, a very great multimedia device. And then of course, it being a glass back, just like the S7, it is a little bit slippery. So just kind of keep that in mind. And now I want to talk about that fingerprint scanner. I mentioned in my unboxing and impressions video that I'd probably get used to this placement of the fingerprint scanner because it's so flush with the device. It's a little bit difficult to actually place it when you're trying to find it. And overall, I did get better at it. However, I'm still kind of struggling at times to find the exact position of that fingerprint scanner just because there's really no indent to it. So I really wish they had a little bit more texture around it or a little bit more of an indent so you can place it. Again, a case would actually solve that. And then in terms of the fingerprint scanner, it is definitely a little bit slow. As bad as that sounds, that's kind of just how it is. I'm going to go ahead and press. And you saw it has a little bit of a delay. Just in terms of comparing it with other devices out now, it's just slow. Fingerprint scanners are getting so much quicker, and this one just takes a little bit of time. Press and unlock. So sometimes, especially because I don't really know if I actually press it, I don't know if I'm actually in the wrong spot. I'm waiting a little bit. That little extra pause makes me question if I need to move my finger or not. Now I want to go ahead and move on to that 5.5-inch 1440p AMOLED display, and I'm very pleased with it. Great job, Alcatel. The display looks great. It's not as, I don't like it as much as the one on the S7. It's just a little bit of a step down from it, but it's still a fantastic display. You'll be very pleased with it. If you also have a screen mode option, so you can change your color temperature. They have a vivid mode and a natural mode. You can get a little warmer, a little cooler, or normal. Just kind of whatever you like when using the device. And then colors just kind of pop on the display. Brightness, very good outside. No problem viewing it in direct sunlight. Gets pretty dim as well for using it when you're in bed. or at night in general. So overall, a very good display. Definitely a huge plus on this Alcatel Idol 4S. Moving on to battery life, it does have a 3,000 milliamp hour embedded battery. Now, I want to go ahead and show my screen on time. You'll see 4 hours and 4 minutes. Average for me is about 4 hours, so that was pretty much my average screen on time. Here, I still have 11% left, 3 hours and 41 minutes. I have 4 hours and 11 minutes right here, 4 hours and 46 minutes. So overall, I average about 4 hours and 15 minutes screen on time, which essentially gets me through the day. I wish they made it a little bit thicker, add a little bit bigger battery, to be completely honest, but that's just a personal preference of mine. But overall, it's nice. It does have that quick charge capability. If I do absolutely need to get a quick charge going, I can just throw it on the charger. But overall, battery life has been a little bit above average. Let's go ahead and move on to that 16 megapixel camera on the back. Let's go ahead and snap a quick picture for you guys. Load it up, take a quick picture, and let's take a look at it. So overall, if you are in a good lighting situation, the picture turns out very good. So you'll see overall, looks very good on my display. The only time I actually get a bit of a hit or miss shot is when I'm in lower light scenarios. That's really the only downside of this camera is in lower light, you might have to take a few extra shots just to ensure that you get a shot that you actually want. Now, the software in general is a little bit strange because I really don't like how I have to kind of swipe up or down to get through different modes, and the modes are actually sideways, so you kind of can't really read them off. But that's just a personal thing. For me, I did get used to it, though, so it's really not that big of a deal. So they do have a manual mode, ISO, you can change the white balance, the aperture, all that good stuff. But for me, I essentially shoot most of my pictures on my camera in auto mode. They do have a night mode for those low light shots, which to me really didn't help out very much either. HDR mode, hop into settings right here. Really nothing crazy out of the ordinary. They have electronic image stabilization right there as well. You can shoot in 4K, which is always nice. And then real quick, let's flip to that front camera. Let's go ahead and turn on the flash and take a look at the front. 3, 2, 1. Boop, right there. So you do have an LED flash for your front-facing camera, which I don't really take too many front-facing camera pictures myself. Hopping into the gallery, let's take a look at some of the pictures that I took. Here's one outside in a very good lighting scenario, and you'll see it turned out very good. I do like the results for that. Here's one I took really early in the morning in Chicago, and that one turned out very nice as well. Again, in good lighting situations, it's a top-level camera. It's not as good as a G5 or an S7, but it's still up there. Here's a look at a couple lower light shots outside of the Coldplay concert that I went to. So as you can see, it still turned out pretty well. And these are farther away shots. Let me go ahead and scroll down. Here's one that I took that was in lower lighting of a couple of family dogs, and it turned out a little bit grainy in general, and I just kind of point and shot this. I didn't really set up anything, but it just turns out a little kind of distorted and grainy, and that's kind of what happens in the lower light shots. And then here's a couple close-ups outside, of course, getting very good quality as well. So in the lower light, you're going to have to take a couple extra ones, but it still turns out you're still usually going to get a good picture in general in the lower lighting, but in bright light or in good lighting scenarios, the camera is a really good performer. Moving on, I want to go ahead and talk about performance and also some specs of the device. So it does have a Snapdragon 652 processor coupled with 3 gigabytes of RAM, and that Snapdragon 652 processor is a very capable processor. It does an overall good job of just doing basic tasks, flying through pretty consistently. Now, it is no Snapdragon 820. Just kind of keep that in mind. That one is definitely a little bit more future-proof and a little bit better in general. However, you are going to be pleased with the performance on this device. If you start running a decent amount of apps at once, it starts to get a little bit delayed in terms of just running through a bunch of things. But overall, I haven't really been too dissatisfied with the performance on this device. And then also that 3 gigabytes of RAM, actually, it seems like RAM management's a little bit too strong. There's just occasional times when I'm actually running an app and then I'll go to a few other apps and I come back to it and I'm like, whoa, why does this have to reload? I'm not used to it reloading. It's just noticeable when I'm actually attempting to do a lot of multitasking. But overall, I have been pleased with the performance. The performance on other devices with the Snapdragon 820 are a little bit better, which is expected because it is a little bit better processor. So you're going to just get a little bit worse processor on this device. Now, moving along, let's talk about software on the device, and it's very close to stock Android. There are some tweaks and some visual tweaks as well, but it does run Android 6.0.1, which is the latest on Marshmallow right now, so hopefully they can keep it updated once Android N comes out. The Idol 3 didn't get an update very quickly. It is on Marshmallow now, but it actually took a decent amount of time to get updated. So in terms of some of those changes, let's take a look at Our shortcuts right here. There's a couple added ones in terms of a flashlight being there, and then reversible, so you can actually use the device upside down. It just flips. You can change that animation as well if you'd like, but you can use it upside down, and it's very symmetrical, so that's actually a nice touch. And then you can change those max audio, I guess, equalizers on the fly very easily. And then let's go ahead and check out that lock screen. I want to talk about, there's some shortcuts, and you can customize them if you'd like. You can double tap on the flashlight, which is what I use the most, double tapping on it to turn it on and off. If you want to go ahead and double tap on an app, it opens up a calculator. You don't even need to unlock the device actually to use the calculator, which is kind of nice. I'm okay with anyone being able to use a calculator without me having to unlock it, but some of them you will actually need to unlock it. So don't think all of the apps will unlock your device, or you can use them without unlocking. Jumping into settings, there are some gestures. So touchless UI, which is, what's that device? Galaxy S5 that kind of used to have that. There's a launcher one and a lock screen one. You'll see I have them both turned off because I didn't find them useful for me. So let's try the lock screen one. You'll see I have a Hangouts notification. Sorry, this background is actually not good for this video shot. Here we go. So watch what happens when I get a little bit closer. It pops up that notification. So let's do that one more time. You'll see the little Hangouts app note. It pops it up. So that's kind of cool. It's a really neat feature and really cool, but in real world use, it's not very practical. So also, if you get near the screen, you'll see my background got a little bit blurry. That's just something as well that they've added that I just don't use. So I turn both of those off. So let's jump back into those gestures, because there's a lot more. There's a glove mode, turn over to mute. You can double tap the screen. There's black screen gestures as well. We can draw letters to open up specific applications, which is nice. I don't know why I have this off. I'm going to turn that on pretty soon. Double tap when screen is off. That works really well, actually. I've had no problem with that. And then double tap when screen is on is there as well if you use their stock launcher. Now let's go ahead and go to that boom key. And there's a lot of ways to customize it. The way I find I use it the most, because I'm not a big fan of the placement of the power button in the upper left-hand corner, is to turn the display on. I'll either use the double tap to wake or that boom key to turn the display on. So that's what I find I use that boom key the most. You'll see, press boom key to turn screen on. You can double press it to take a picture or long press it for a burst shot. So if I'm like, hey, screen off, I'm going to double tap it. It's going to load up that camera application, snap a quick picture, and you'll be good to go. So I've used that a couple times as well. Kind of a nice little feature to the boom key. So overall, there's lots of ways to customize it. Let's go back into those and check it out. So you'll see, press the launch camera. You can take an instant screenshot, trigger a specific application, or do nothing. Now you'll also see there's boom effects. To show those off, if you're on the home screen, you press it. It vibrates a little bit and shows a weather animation on your home screen. So that's there. And then other ones is if you're listening to music, go to YouTube and I press it, it'll act, if a song's playing, excuse me, then if I press it, it's going to activate it. Boom. You'll see boom pop up. And it just kind of makes it more, a little bit louder, a little bit echoes a little bit more. So just different boom effects you can have on or off if you don't like them. But that's just one of them. And then, of course, there's another one where if you're in the gallery, it'll actually make a quick collage for you. So if I hop into the gallery and I press the boom key, it'll just have this random collage of your pictures, which I find I never need and never use. Overall, in terms of the boom key, I like it because you can turn the display on. Overall, I don't find myself using it for those effects very much, but it's also nice to double tap, and it's customizable. So you might like it, you might find a use for it. I did. So anyways, let's go into that recent apps, and I want to make note that you can really only access 2 applications when you press that recent apps button, which I do not like at all. I wish they would kind of bump it down to make it like this, where you can get to maybe 3 or 4 applications, and then there's a clear all button, which I do like being there. But overall, I don't like how when you go into it, you really can only access these 2 latest applications. And then, of course, you do get your VR headset with the device as well. And overall, I've been pretty pleased. It's nowhere near as good as an Oculus-enabled Gear VR. But overall, I do like it. You can use it with Google Cardboard as well. They have their own VR store, etc. They have some pre-installed games that you can play. And I've been pretty pleased. It gets a little uncomfortable after an extended period of time. But for me, any VR extendedly kind of gives me a bit of a headache. So I can't use it extendedly anyways, but overall, I do like it. It's a nice little addition to the device. Now, I want to give some final thoughts on the Alcatel Idol 4S, and overall, I've been very pleased with the device. Just an overall very good package, a well-designed phone. Again, that fingerprint sensor could be a little bit better designed. Software in general, very streamlined, very clean. Performance, like I mentioned, not as good as a Snapdragon 820, but it's still a very capable performing device. It's also a great multimedia device with those awesome speakers, very cool design, solid camera, solid battery life, just an overall solid device. And I would say 400 might be a little bit too high of a price point. That 350 price point is very good. So like I said, pre-order is 350, and then after that it goes up to 400. So just kind of keep that in mind if you're thinking about purchasing this device. 400 might be a little bit too high of a price point for me for this device because of other options that you do have out in the market for a little bit better specs in terms of that Snapdragon 820 and just some other options. Although you do get that VR headset, so keep that in mind if that's something that you'd like to check out. And that's about it. So that's my full review of the Alcatel Idol 4S. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Subscribe to my channel. Enter in that giveaway. Just one of my ways to give back to you guys and my appreciation of your views, comments, all that good stuff. So as always, guys, thank you very much for watching.